And I'm told Chennai is the technological capital of India. Is that correct?
Yes, so now it is basically the automobile center of India. So most
Uh-huh.
of the automobile companies,
Uh-huh.
including Indian companies and outside companies like Daimler, Mercedes, and all other companies, they have got their centers there. So yes, it is you can see electronics as well as automobile hub of India.
Fantastic. Very happy to have both of you, Josiah and Utpal. Feel most welcome, yeah?
Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much.
And
Thank you so much.
yeah, before
It's
we
a pleasure.
start, yeah, thank you very much. Before we start, we'll invite our executive director, Paul, just to take about 2 minutes to say one or two things about ABIA as an organization. Paul, over to you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Gillian. Uh, I'm very happy to finally meet Utpal, though it is not physical, but I'm happy to finally meet you live. And I know we've had a lot of conversations with Josiah before, so feel very much welcome. Now, ABIA is an initiative that is out to that is out to increase blockchain, Web3, and cryptocurrency literacy and adoption in Africa, and we are using university students to try to meet that end goal, because we know that university students, being the youth and having the majority of our population constituting the youth, we thought that probably this would be the best people that we can target to help us spread the word about blockchain, crypto, and Web3, because we believe that these technologies have the potential to transform Africa. And if we want to ensure that these technologies become mainstream, then of course we'd have to do a lot of work when it comes to education. So that is why that is a big gap that ABIA is trying to fill. Of course, we know that we cannot do this by ourselves. There are other partners that we'll be doing this with, so that we believe that it's a very big task that we cannot do alone, and we are very ambitious. We believe that by 2027 we want to train more than 1 million youth ambassadors from universities across Africa. And we believe that with that kind of numbers, I think we can have some impact within this space. Thank you so much, Dr. Over to you again.
Thank you very much. And again, Josiah and Utpal, you are most welcome. Our audience, another great session with really great gentlemen. I am your host, Dr. Julian Drower, the Director of Strategy and Quality Assurance at Africa Blockchain Youth Ambassadors. I consider myself a scholar practitioner. I enjoy bridging the gap between theory and practice. I'm also an enthusiast of conversations, and I see myself as a conversational intellectual. Blockchain is something I picked up 6 months ago, and I find it to be a very exciting space to be in for anyone. I run an organization by the name Schedules, which is a business and management consulting in Nairobi, Kenya. Today, we are joined by Josiah Oduso and Utpal Chakpotri to discuss a continuation of, sorry, to continue with our discussion on Web3 and distributed applications. They'll be bringing a different context, given that Utpal is an expert in the area of artificial intelligence, and Josiah is an expert in the space of thrift finance. Now, before we start, very quickly, Josiah, if you could just take one word to tell us about you, just one or two words to tell us about you, very quickly.
Okay. I'm an entrepreneur who is based here in Nigeria. Have some businesses already in Nigeria before I ventured into the field of blockchain about 3 years ago. And that's what led me to trade finance in search of solution to problems. So basically, I like to solve problems.
Thank you very much. Utpal, Who is Utpal? Just very briefly, tell us who you are.
Yes, so I consider myself as a data scientist and AI researcher. I'm also a quantum scientist because I do a lot of work on quantum machine learning nowadays.
Uh-huh.
And of course, my inclination is towards finance industry. So I am a fintech innovator, and I do a
Uh-huh.
lot of innovations in the area of fintech. So that's what I can say about myself.
Amazing. And thank you again. Our audience, you can see the caliber of people we have here today. As is traditional, feel free to raise your questions on the comment section. As the conversation continues towards the end, we will be posing your questions also to our distinguished guests. I would like now to introduce them formally. Utpal Chakraborty. Utpal, an eminent data scientist and an artificial intelligence researcher, strategist, and thought leader with more than 2 decades of industry experience, including as a principal architect in Lassen and Tubro, Infotech, IBM, Capgemini, and other MNCs, including heading the artificial intelligence division of Yes Bank. His recent research on machine learning, titled Layered Approximation for Deep Neural Network, has been appreciated in different premier conferences, institutions, and universities. He has addressed 200 plus premier conferences on artificial intelligence, machine learning, analytics, and RPA, including scientific conferences across the globe as keynote speaker. A third speaker, Uptal has published 150 plus technical articles on AI, machine learning, and agile in many different premier publishing platforms like Indian Express Times, APAC CIO Outlook, Swiss Cognitive, Elect, BFSI, Global CXO, etc. worldwide. In addition, he has mentored 10 plus AI startups, premier tech colleges, and universities at different stages. Welcome, Utko. Josiah Odusu. Josiah is an experienced business development specialist with demonstrated history of working in the internet and blockchain industry. Skilled in negotiation, marketing, data analysis, business growth, communication, and computer networks, Josiah is a strong business growth professional with a bachelor's degree focused on computer science. Josiah has worked with some of the biggest names in the industry and has wealth of experience in growing businesses. He is a strategic thinker and an excellent communicator who is always looking for new opportunities to grow businesses. That is the caliber of the people before us today. Let's dive into the conversation, and this is going to be light and interesting. Let's all enjoy ourselves. I'll start with Josiah. How did you get into blockchain? Very briefly, how did you get into blockchain? You'll put on your mic.
All right.
Yeah.
What led me into the blockchain space was the euphoria at the first instance, right?
Yeah.
In Nigeria here, a few years ago, a lot of people were leveraging it. At some point, I think the point I got into blockchain was the time where it was around 8,000, BTC was around 8,000 or thereabouts. So a lot of people were seeing it as an investment opportunity, and that is what drew me to blockchain in the first instance. I came in as an investor into the blockchain space.
Interesting. I'm still with you, Josiah. Thrift Finance, of which you're a co-founder. Briefly tell us, what is Thrift Finance about?
Well, Chief Finance is a suite of products that focus in breaching financial inefficiency gap in Africa. Basically, these products are decentralized, trustless, and microfinance products, all fusioned together in a real fi wallet. Real fi in this regard is real finance wallet to help people have full control and ownership over their data, over their finances, and over what they choose to do with it. So the MVP of Tree Finance is, like I mentioned, is a non-custodial real-fi wallet that will enable people to pay, save, and invest in complete privacy and full ownership.
Amazing, amazing. I am still with you, Josiah, and I want to quote something I picked online. We are building a decentralized and trustless personal savings system. Our goal is to empower you to save your savings. Please elaborate. We are building a decentralized and a trustless personal savings systems. Our goal is to empower you to save your savings. To somebody who wants to understand more about your operations, could you please explain that?
Okay, I'll start with Save Your Savings because a few years ago in Nigeria, something happened. The government banned cryptocurrency in the country, and a lot of cryptocurrency apps could not interface with the banks as they used to do. That's what led to P2P system, which is currently booming in Africa. And at the point, I was using, I and a lot of friends, I belong to a lot of cryptocurrency groups here in Nigeria and Africa. And I and a lot of people were having the issue of trying to secure our savings because, as you might know, inflation is very high in Africa, and typically in Nigeria, I think it is about at some point it got to 19% this year. So it means that if you were saving in naira, which is the local currency here, if in a year to come, your savings is actually going down. So there is no value for savings, and most of the banks do not offer interest for savings accounts. And if you consider that you're not getting an interest from your savings account, plus your savings is actually being depreciated in the purchasing power, the ability for you to use it in future, it seems that you are losing money. So if you have something like a million naira by January, by December, you're expecting to have about the value of it. You might be expecting to have about 900,000 or 950 or even 800, right? I'm not quoting the accurate data here, but I'm giving you assumptions for you to understand what I mean. So, and this led to the P2P system, which Binance initiated and is currently booming because a lot of people were trying to move their funds from the banks to crypto wallets, right? And crypto wallet and the exchanges. And when you talk about exchanges are centralized entities. That means actually anything can happen in the future to your service, right? So we are what Tree Finance is trying to do by Save Your Savings is we are allowing you to do the three key basic things that you will normally do with your savings account or with your bank account, which is to pay, to invest, and then to save for those that want to save, right? So Tree Finance is providing a suite of features that will allow you to do these things in a complete private environment, in an environment that you have complete ownership, right? We talk about features like P2P payment system or P2P hybrid lending system, or even crowd lending, which I might, if there is opportunity, I might actually explain later. But these features, even some specific features like analytics that is based on the basic finance analytics that is based on a non-custodial wallet, ability to even tag your transactions, give it metadata that will differentiate it from another transaction. Say you have a particular transaction is for tuition fees, for instance. You could actually categorize it, and all these things are happening in a non-custodial wallet.
Very interesting. Thank you so much, Josiah, for that elaboration. Utpal, I'll come to you now. Tell us briefly about Allied Digital Services Limited.
Yeah, so Allied Digital Services Limited. So we have got two types of business here. One is our traditional business, and one is the modern business that we are doing today. So traditionally, Allied Digital is 39 years old enterprise. We are also a public listed company here in India.
Yeah.
And here, our traditional business were mainly into like master system integrator as a desktop service and all other services we used to provide. But recently we have also started working on fintech. So we have got a fintech vertical wherein we have got a fintech product that is called conversational banking platform. So you can essentially do all your banking needs, okay? Whether it is like banking services, credit card services, your deposit services, loan services, and insurance services, all services in a conversational way, talking to the chatbot through WhatsApp, through your wearable devices, that means your smartwatch. So that is one product. We also have a product which is into service management. Basically, this is a product like ServiceNow. Okay, so you can actually do all kind of ticket management, so service ticket management, any kind of incident management, any other request management into this tool, and the name of the tool is Editas. So that is also a popular product, and we have got 200 plus customers across the globe, including some of the big customers. Apart from that, we are also pioneer in the smart cities building in India. So we have got around 12 smart cities that has been built by Ally Digital. So what we do in these smart cities, we do smart lighting, we do smart traffic management, we do smart garbage management, and many other things, like anything and everything. And we also build the command and control center for the smart cities, wherein the city authorities can control the entire city through this command and control center. And also now we are trying to build this command and control center, a intelligent AI powered command and control center. And for that, what we are building is basically we are building a huge data lake wherein we'll get all the data from all other, from traffic management system, from garbage management system, from our municipal corporation, so everywhere, and we'll dump in those data into a data lake. And in that data lake, we'll create some data marts, small data marts, and on that those data marts will be running smart analytics for the citizens, to get citizens and the smart city authorities to get the intelligent information about the city. Okay, so these are the three lines of broader lines of business. Of course, it is divided into 6 different towers, but these are the areas where we are focusing. So right now, we are also building a very smart command and control center, which will be completely powered by machine learning, and it will give lot of optimization in the city. And optimization, with optimization the savings comes, right? So it will give lot of optimization in the city, and also help the citizens to navigate through the city, as well as to avail different facilities in the city in a very intelligent manner. So that is another initiative.
Amazing. You've just painted another world to most of us. But before I go to my next question, I'd like to ask Paul just to make a comment very quickly, and then I move on to the next question. Paul, over to you. Your mic is off, Paul.
Sorry. Yeah, I just want to make a comment in regards to what Josiah said about this wallet having the capability of a user being able to put metadata so that it can differentiate the kind of transaction they are doing. And for probably for those who are not aware, that's a very interesting feature, because having experience training financial investigators, one of the key issue and concern that has been with the banks has been the issue of anti-money laundering. And with we all know that with the public blockchain, when you, for example, you do a transaction, normally it does not have metadata, so that you are not able to exactly differentiate that for what purpose this is this transaction was done. And for the financial institutions and for the bank, this is a very, very critical component for them. So I think this feature that Josiah, you are trying to add to this decentralized wallet, I think this is one of those things that will really be exciting, and would really be would really entice financial services sector and the banks to want to get into this space. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Paul. Thank you so much, Paul. And Josiah, I'll be inviting you later to react. So just hold your mic. Back to Utpal. You're the Chief Digital Officer of Allied Digital Services. What does the Chief Digital Officer do? Very briefly.
Okay.
What do you do?
Yeah, although it's a fancy name, okay. So nowadays people give a lot of fancy names like Chief Digital Officer, Chief Data Officer, and whatnot. Okay, Chief AI Officer. Okay, sometimes I got. But ultimately, what I think is I am closely associated with the digital initiatives, and when we talk about digital, it is like almost everything, right?
Okay.
So, if I talk about the digitization journey, so what we did is normally across the globe we tried to convert the physical services into digital services and try to render those services to the end customer through digital channels, right? So this was the traditional way of doing digitization. But now the future is moving towards a different level. You can say how to make this digitization process intelligent, how to bring in human intelligence, human cognitive element into your digitization process, and that is called intelligent digitization, or in some people, some experts call it cognification. That means bringing that cognitive element into your digitization process. So I think I am more into cognification than digitization, because I work a lot in artificial intelligence, machine learning models, building a lot of intelligence in terms of doing high-end analytics, predictions, and all other things. So this is my forte, or my area of work.
Interesting. Utpal, a leading blockchain enthusiast by the name Gillian Godsill said, this is what she said: blockchain technology is transformational and has the ability to really change things. Now, thinking about AI, which you have so passionately articulated, and blockchain, where do you see the world in 20 years? What is your vision of our world in 20 years, very briefly?
Okay. So I think, first of all, blockchain is a brilliant technology. Okay. It has not been, it has not got that focus and the adoption during last, say, probably 5-10 years because of various reasons. But as a technology, blockchain has the power to revolutionize the entire world. Okay, and I'll tell you how. So let's go back to the history a little bit. So we, the common people, has been exploited some way or the other since long ago. You go to 200, 300 years back, or 500 years back. We used to have kings, right, who used to rule us. So land used to be with us, and we used to do cultivation in the land, but the lion's share of our profit has been taken away by the kings and emperors, right? Then the IT revolution came. Okay, I'll just skip the other revolutions there, right? IT revolution came. Here, we are generating the content and data, okay? But we are not getting any benefited. We are not the beneficiary of that data. Somebody else is controlling the data and making business out of that, right? Yeah. So the decentralization concept has a huge philosophy inbuilt into that. Okay, so it is for the people, it is for the common mass. It is actually a democratic concept, so that everyone can be benefited from the content or the data they are generating, right? And blockchain is the enabler of that entire concept, right? So what I see, to answer your question, 20 years from now,
Yeah.
I see a huge revolution which has already been started with blockchain as a backbone, AI to bring the intelligence,
No.
and technologies like AR, VR, MR, XR, okay, as kind of experience into the ecosystem to bring a different kind of a world altogether, wherein we are going to see a huge democracy, not only in terms of doing business as a small player or a big player. You have got full freedom to do whatever kind of business that you want to do, you can do within your community. And this community concept is not new from ages. If you go to our ancient ages, okay, human is a community based animal, right? We always used to be there with our community. The same concept has come here now. Okay, so you can do whatever transactions, whatever business within a community, and that community could be a world community.
Yeah.
It's a bigger community, everybody in the world, right? And you can do it without any middleman, without any intervention. Nobody can rule you. You, as a community, you rule yourself. Okay, so this is a brilliant concept we need to understand, and it is going to revolutionize the entire thing. So, talking about any industry, okay, it is banking and finance, retail, customer care, manufacturing. Everyone should go into a place like metaverse, and which will be uh, backbone by a technology like uh, blockchain coming years. Okay, so that is my thought process.
Oh, thank you. A little scary, but also very a little scary, but also very exciting. I must say, scary, but because the traditional way of doing things are gonna fall off, and most of us who are a bit older will not know how to fit into these new changes. So there's a bit of fear, a bit of anxiety, but also excitement. Thank you so much, Utpal, for sharing that. Let me pose this to Josiah. We are talking about the changes. We have seen the evolution of Web 1, we're now talking Web 3, and that is bound to change again in the future. The same can be said about the 5G, the five generation mobile network. Thinking about what you do, how are these changes playing out to make thrift financing a better proposition? I don't know if I've asked that question properly, Josiah. I'm looking at 5G as a new network that enables you to do what you want to do. How has it made a difference to thrift finance, for example? If you could share your experience now and before.
Okay. First of all, thrift finance, most of the features of thrift finance, it's still in beta phase, and
Yeah.
most of them are in private testnet at the moment.
Okay.
So that means the end users have not been able to use it to understand how or actually give feedback in certain cases of what to expect, although we've been able to gather a lot of feedbacks through internal testing. But regarding your question, the feature and how it, I think one of the problems Africa is having, I'm taking it from African context. One of the
Yeah.
problems African is having is a problem of connectivity,
Yeah.
right? And a lot of people are disenfranchised in terms of connectivity. That is why a lot of startups and companies from other parts of the world are looking to Africa as a target market in order to connect the unconnected. You talk about platforms like World Mobile, which is currently doing something in Ethiopia. And when you look at this, I think Africa needs more connectivity, right? Africa, a lot of people, there is a whole lot of people in Africa that are yet to be connected. So when you take it to thrift, right? Thrift will function more efficiently where connection exists. And thrift will make sense more to people that are actually disfranchised from connection.
Yeah.
So that is why we're looking at key features like local language translation, where people can actually, someone that speaks Swahili, for instance, can actually use scripts and understand it in a way that because everything is in his own language. So in terms of connection and shift, I think yes, it's very important feature for Shift, and we're looking forward towards looking to these communities where they are this differentiated, and then see how we can onboard them. I don't know if I answered your question
Yes,
correctly.
you did answer you did answer my question. I can see the technicalities and the challenges that we face without proper connectivity. I'll go back to Utpal just for a bit. Utpal, you are a book writer, and you've written a book saying artificial intelligence for all, transforming every aspect of life. For all, transforming every aspect of life. That's a little scary. Please explain.
Okay, so this book is essentially uh, basically the collection of some of the papers that I have published already in the open internet, and also some other topics. Of course, it is there. So 50% you can say that. So here, what I try to put is basically artificial intelligence is although it is invisible to normal human, okay, you cannot see it, right, but it is playing a major role in our life. So your smartphone that you are carrying are probably talking to hundreds of machine learning models, okay, probably more, right? So it depends on how many apps you have installed in your smartphone. So artificial intelligence is already affecting everyone's life. So understanding artificial intelligence is very, very important. So nowadays, that's why there is a huge demand from the business community as well as from the customer to explain the AI. So that's why explainable AI has come into picture. So AI is not a black box today. So if you are building a model, you should also explain how the model is working. What are the parameters the model is taking into consideration before it is uh, essentially it is giving any kind of prediction, right? So I wrote something about that in a very simple language without going into the technical nitty-gritties to the people so that they can understand like how artificial intelligence is indirectly impacting their life. Okay, it cannot be a direct impact, but indirectly it is impacting their life, and they should be aware of that. Okay, so it is kind of a magic for many people, right? How it is working. So if you go to the semi-urban or the rural society of India, they don't understand artificial intelligence, but it is actually affecting their life. So how they can, so that book has been now translated into other languages. Mainly into Hindi, which is the most popular language in India, right? And that is only because this book is a very simple book for everyone.
That's very, very interesting. And thank you, Utpal, for sharing that. If we just put it to context for a lay person, and just a minute, Paul, there's a bit of sound in the background. Can you hear that sound? If you could help us, Paul.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, that's better. Thank you very much. So, Utpal, I just want to indulge you a little bit on this. To a lay person like me, I struggle to make the difference. When are we talking about artificial intelligence? And when are we speaking about human intelligence? So, by way of illustration and a very simple example, what could you share so that you could help us get a better understanding?
So human intelligence is versatile.
Yeah.
It is cross domain. And when I say cross-domain, that means you can have an experience in one area and you can use the same experience in another area. Okay, so this cross-domain operability is the main feature of human brain, which distinguished it from any other AI model that we are building today, including the deep learning models using neural network. So it can work cross-domain. You can get an experience from somewhere, and you can relate that experience into other domain. Okay, and also some other elements comes into picture, that is love, empathy, okay, feelings for the others.
Yeah.
So these things are inbuilt into human brain, which is nothing less than a quantum computer, by the way. But in case of artificial intelligence, it is a single domain uh, uh, based approach. So artificial intelligence is pretty good, okay, and it can actually beat human in some of the areas, but into that particular area, it cannot take that experience from there and use it somewhere else. Okay, so that is the limitation of it. And when we are trying to bridge that gap with something called general intelligence, okay, so which is like it is far away, because for that we require a lot of breakthroughs to happen in this area. Okay, then only we'll be able to achieve that. But yes, the researchers and scientists are working towards that. Hope I answered.
Yes, you did. Yeah, you did bring a lot of clarity to that. I'd like to invite Paul just to give us a message from the sponsor, and then we proceed. Paul, over to you.
Enterprise blockchains have limitless potential, but privacy is a major challenge. How can businesses secure their private transactions on a public network, especially when enterprise blockchains have been closed, unaudited, centralized? Introducing Polygon Nightfall, designed for the needs of enterprises. Nightfall uses a hybrid approach to scaling to give enterprises an option that was considered impossible. ZK rollups keep transactions private on a public network. Optimistic rollups offer efficient, scalable transactions. Secured by Ethereum, Nightfall means trust, transparency, and credibility. Aiming to disrupt the $50 trillion global supply chain industry, Polygon Nightfall unlocks the true potential of enterprise blockchains and empowers businesses to connect and scale in powerful new ways. Polygon Nightfall. Mainnet beta is now live.
Thank you. Thank you, Paul. If you want to make a comment for a minute, maybe.
Yes, that is Polygon. Polygon is one of those organizations that were the first to believe in what we are trying to do. So they have really supported us, and every opportunity we get, of course, we like to appreciate them. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Josiah, thinking about thrift finance, and I'm talking specifically about your organization and financial inclusion. To what extent have you been successful in demystifying the problem of financial inclusion using the vehicle that is thrift finance?
Okay. One of the problems that we've anticipated and actually observed in terms of financial inclusion is people being able to participate in the system with little knowledge of blockchain, and even with their financial status, whatever it might be. I think it's one of the things that inspired the name thrift. In terms of in Africa here, there are many systems like Susu, Ajo, and different formulas of cooperative societies, where few people, no matter their financial status, can go to other persons that are within their group and participate in this cooperative society. Perhaps it might be for the purpose of solving a problem, personal problem, or a problem as a group. So in most cases, especially in the civil service, what happens is a group of people might come together, maybe 5, and they might be contributing a certain amount of money every month from their salary and all that. So thrift is aiming towards making it possible for the common man on the street regardless of their knowledge, no matter, regardless of their education level, to being able to access the blockchain space, right? And this is one of this is coming from the innovation of user experience, UI UX, right? We are trying to simplify things as much as possible so that even the local business person along the street can actually participate in the system. And when I think this problem solves helps actually to alleviate the problems that is already existing when you talk about financial inclusion. Because for a system to be inclusive, everybody should be able to participate in the system. People that are not actually that don't have enough knowledge or disadvantaged in certain levels should be able to participate. And this caused, in fact, one of the features of True Finance, which I called DeFi trustless lending, or thrift crowd lending and savings. Is actually a model of Esusu Ajo. I don't know what it's called in places like Kenya. But let me describe it. It's more like a system. We, like I mentioned earlier, we are a group of people can come together and contribute, and then share the contribution or share the earnings of this contribution. In typical situation, there is no earnings. What happens is you share the same amount that you saved. When you talk about trips, you are going to share the earnings from this contribution. And in this situation, is very, very important in the normal settings to know the person you are contributing that is part of the group, or trust them, right? And these have excluded a lot of people, because if you are in an office where your salary scale does not meet people that is in a particular cooperative group, it means that you cannot participate in the system. You'll be excluded from the system, right? But Shift is bringing a system whereby anyone can initiate a group and set the terms as it suits you. So, for instance, you're able to bring out $50, for instance, based on your salary scale. So you should be able to initiate a group that is based on that $50 and say, okay, I want this group to last for like a month, and I only want 5 persons to participate. So you should be able to initiate based on these terms, and anyone that fits into your grade or your specification can say, okay, can go through the platform and say, okay, I think this is more suitable for me, right? And the person can participate. You don't need to know this person. You don't need to trust this person, and you don't need to understand anything about this person. But they can participate in this system and be able to share the interest in turns. And the advantage of being able to share the interest in turns is the same thing applicable to system, the system that is existing outside the blockchain space. There has been people being able to get a sort of credit or cash advance to solve their problem. This is one of the ways that we are helping to bridge the problem of financial inclusion.
So tell me, Josiah, have you envisaged a world where somebody at point A has excess savings in their account, and somebody else at point A is in need of some funding in terms of loan? Connecting the two, facilitated by, say, blockchain. I don't know if it's happening already, but connecting the two at the exclusion of an intermediary so that the two can trade together. Have we reached that point yet? And especially
it's interesting that you mentioned this, because one of the key features we are working on is P2P hybrid, what I call P2P hybrid lending. And the purpose of this P2P hybrid lending is to remove intermediaries, right? Being able to connect lenders directly to borrowers. And in essence, one of the highlights of this feature is for the borrower is actually going to, of course, to put a kind of security. The borrower is actually going to put a collateral. But in essence, this collateral, it's not gone, right? This collateral is working over time to pay back the loan that you've borrowed, including the interest. So in essence, what the borrower is is paying back with is time. The time they needed to wait in order for their collateral to yield enough interest to pay back the loans plus the loan they borrowed plus interest. And then for the lender's part, the system is a thrift lending protocol is an enabler and is a community-owned protocol, meaning that the community can decide to vote where the direction will go or the advancement. It's total freedom for everyone. So for the lender can decide to say, okay, these are the terms of this loan that is being broadcasted. It suits me. I'm going to participate in this loan. I'm going to be a lender in this loan. And it doesn't need to be one lender, right? A lot of people, a group of persons can come together. They don't need to come together in the real sense, but in the terms of decentralization, they can actually say, okay, we have a common interest in this particular loan, and I don't have enough to fund it. Let me be a part funder in this particular loan, and another person can be a part funder in this particular loan. So while we approach this, why we approach this way is being able to create a platform for total freedom for people to see the direction it takes. And of course, there comes a kind of a means to be able to show what the capacity of a borrower through a decentralized identity system, to be able to put a kind of credit history of the status of the person's account. And these are in a transparent environment, so that the borrower the lender can actually see, okay, this borrower is in good status. Aside from his collateral, is in good status. And over time, the more your credit history is in a better situation, the lesser the amount of collateral that you need to put in order to borrow.
Amazing. Clearly, it's a new world. It's a totally new world. Utpal, I'd like to pose this to you, and I'll read something, and then I'll ask you to respond to it. In the book Radical Uncertainty, Kay and King posit that, and I quote, AI systems work by ingesting large amounts of labeled data, analyzing the data for correlations and patterns, and using these patterns to make predictions about future states. I don't know if you're in agreement up to there. Then this is my question: if that statement sits correct with you, and you are free to dispute it. Why is artificial intelligence useful? Remember, they talk about correlations, patterns, etc. Why is artificial intelligence useful in a world that is increasingly brittle? You must have come across the acronym BANI: brittle, ambiguous, incomprehensible, and even nonlinear. How can we place reliance on artificial intelligence to solve problems which by nature we know are no longer linear? I thought I should pose that question to you because it is something that was bothering me as I was preparing for this. Over to you, Utpal. You're thinking, and if you agree or you don't disagree with the writer.
Absolutely. So what is written in the book is, of course, the one of the approaches.
Okay.
Not all the approaches. One of the approaches.
Okay.
So what he was talking about is training the model with a labeled data. Okay. So there is another approach also wherein we don't require labeled data. Okay. We can. So that is called the unsupervised way of the learning, right? But this is the most popular, and what he said is absolutely correct. So now coming to your question, like when we know that world itself is completely unlinear, how we can predict or how we can rely on a system which is actually learning from a very predictable kind of thing.
Yeah.
So now let's talk about our life. Okay. So there are and our movements, right? In the day-to-day life, there are probably millions of parameters. Okay, that is deciding our movement, our life, our all activities that we are having. and probably we know only few hundreds, okay, or not even hundreds, right? We know. So if I throw a ball, I know it will go and it will hit here, okay. But there are various invisible parameters. It could be a wind, it could be something else, it could be the density of the air, and lot many parameters, and some of the parameters even we don't know,
Yeah.
right? So those are also coming into picture. So when we talk about AI, it is always contextual. We
Okay.
talk on a particular context.
Okay.
AI cannot solve all the problems of the world. Impossible. AI can solve only a problem which is very, very contextual, wherein we don't want to invest human intelligence there, okay,
Okay.
because there will be a skill, okay, and human cannot address that skill. There we are going to use AI. AI not at all is for all the problems which is there. Now coming to a different dimension, which I'll probably take 1 minute to answer. Now quantum computing is coming very closely with AI.
Yeah.
And quantum computing is not only going to give that speed of processing, which is again a major factor today for any AI, because if you have a humongous amount of data and if you have to process it and train your model uh, very quickly, then you require a parallel computing environment like quantum computing,
Yeah.
right? So that is one is expect the speed. But apart from that, okay, quantum, okay, as a field, quantum physics has now identified or discovered some different dimensions to the matter. Okay, so till now we have been talking only all our innovations, all our inventions, all our science thought process are around matter. Okay, we have not gone beyond matter. But now quantum computing has identified a dimension which is not matter, which is beyond matter. That means the core of the matter is a non-matter. Okay. So now with this and coming AI into picture, I think probably quantum computer will be able to consider couple of thousand parameters, okay, or probably million parameters to take into consideration
Yeah.
to make the prediction much more precise than what we are doing today.
Okay.
So it is all about the parameters, the visible and invisible parameters. So the more parameters you take into consideration, the more precisely you can predict. And that's where quantum computing is going to come and play an role.
Very well put it, Palin. Thank you. We are approaching the end of our conversation, and I would like to pose my second last question to Josiah and then to Utpal. Josiah, where do you place Africa in the grand scheme of things where blockchain is concerned? Where do you place Africa? In a scale of 1 out of 10, you could start with that and then tell us your thoughts behind it.
In a scale of 1 to 10, I will place Africa uh, 7 for a reason.
Okay.
Why I placed Africa 7 for a reason is in terms of adoption, Africa is way ahead of other continents, right?
Yeah.
In terms of being able to take a blockchain or cryptocurrencies as an investment opportunity, Africa is still ahead. But in terms of solving the problems that is facing Africa, Africa is still a fertile ground. That a virgin soil. Nothing. A lot of things have not happened in Africa in terms of blockchain, and there are a lot of opportunities. There's a lot of problems to solve. There's in the real estate, in government, in land use, in finance. There is a lot of problems that is facing Africa, and in why Africa, I said Africa is a fertile ground is in most developed countries, because most of African countries are still either underdeveloped or developing. But in most developed countries, most of these problems have been solved. So the people are comfortable. They don't feel the need to shift. right? When you talk about banking, the banking system in most continents are efficient. So why would I move from banking to use something like Shift, for instance?
Yeah.
It will take a lot of convincing. Of purposely, it might be people that are actually privacy enthusiastic human
Yeah.
beings, right?
Yeah.
People that care so much about privacy. Those are the people. But outside that, nobody will give a damn because the system is functioning, the system is efficient, the
Yeah.
problems are already solved. These things does not matter to them. These things are not their concern. But in terms of Africa, the problems are still there unsolved, waiting for solutions. And if Africa or Africans will be able to leverage blockchain to solve these problems, Africa will move in terms of world standing from a level here to a level even up to the level of most of these developing countries, because it means that we've been able to advance way ahead of the countries that are still using centralized and systems that don't care about privacy. So Africa, this is an opportunity for Africa to jump ahead in terms of the status of things in the world.
Amazing. Utpal, in your considered view, how does India compare to Africa? And what lessons can Africa learn, or vice versa?
Okay. So culturally, India and Africa has a lot of similarities. Uh, uh, lot of lot of good relationships also, bilateral, country wise relationships. We have got good tourism also in terms of this. Now coming to technology, uh, India uh, is of course a IT hub, because we generate a huge amount of IT resources here, and also India is advancing quite well in the fintech area. So probably we can consider ourselves uh, second most advanced in the fintech area. Okay, because a lot of work has been done in the fintech area. So in fact, many countries, including many of the European countries and even Silicon Valley, they come for doing case
Talent, yeah,
studies.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
So
yeah.
India, to actually see such a huge country, huge population, but they have implemented cashless and cardless economy in a very efficient manner, very less uh, scams, frauds, and all those things. Very very common in a very efficient kind of a uh, payments ecosystem here. So I think that is an area wherein a country like Africa, a continent like Africa, can uh, definitely take some learning from there. So it is the age of collaboration, right? So we collaborate and learn from each other. So as we just discussed, like Africa is approximately 7 in terms of blockchain adoption. So probably India can learn a little bit from Africa on the blockchain part if they implement kind of things. But when it comes to fintech, of course, I will see that. And when I say fintechs in the area of payments, in the area of a lot of things in the customer-facing applications. Okay, uh, it could be conversational banking, conversational AI. A lot of work has been done. Then in the customer care, a lot of work has been done. In the non-performing assets, a lot of work has been done. Then in the fraud detection, as Joe has just uh, mentioned, in the fraud detection and anti-money laundering, a lot of work has been done. Okay, and also uh, in terms of uh, how to generate more and more, because see, IT is all about human resources, right?
Yeah.
So more developers you will have, okay, more your country will grow more into that particular area. So India has an ecosystem, and it's a very cheap and economic ecosystem wherein anybody can learn any new technology in a very cheaper manner, and they have got a lot of platforms here, online, offline, classroom training. There are a lot of universities, colleges which provides cutting edge courses on cutting technologies. I think that similar kind of a ecosystem should be replicated to African countries. Okay, because if we cannot generate that amount of developers, then you will not be able to achieve what you are trying to achieve in that. For example, blockchain developers. Okay, so you will have to generate blockchain developers, data scientists. You have to generate data scientists. So I think these are some areas definitely we can exchange. India can learn from Africa, and Africa can learn from India. Okay,
Yeah.
And I think this should happen, because I'm also quite excited listening from you people that I mean the blockchain adoption there in Africa is picking up. Because see, I was one of those people in India, along with that, wherein we have tried implementing blockchain in many areas, but because of regulatory and all other things, at that point of time, it was not being accepted well. But right now, even our central bank, that is Reserve Bank of India, and our government has also become very what do you call softer in terms of accepting blockchain and this kind of technology, because there were a lot of misconceptions going around. People who are confusing blockchains with crypto,
Yeah.
right? Cryptocurrencies. So that was a very big, and even the government authorities were also confused about that. But now that confusion has gone away. Okay, and people have understood that blockchain is a technology which can actually build the future of the economy of a country. All right, and that's why they are accepting it right now.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I've had such an amazing afternoon with both of you. It has been quite enlightening. Josiah Utpal, you have such a wealth of experience. You've built so much knowledge amongst between yourselves. Josiah, if you were to refer any resources to the young people listening to us today, what kind of resources would you refer them to so that they can broaden their understanding? And those will be our final comments, saying very much thank you for finding the time to grace this occasion. Josiah, over to you. What resources do you recommend for the young people?
So I think one of the key resources I would recommend is platforms like Abia, right? These kind of platforms are the beginning point that relates to people in a way that it will be easier for them to follow up and understand. Now, also, outside platforms like Abia, there are many websites and tools that are available for people to learn in terms of programming and all that. That is available online, right? Platform like Learn Web3 is on Twitter, and is also they also have a whole lot of courses where people can actually learn how to be a Web3 programmer. These are beginning points for people to pick up from. And also, being a Cardano enthusiast or someone who is more tends to be familiar. Sorry, I know this is a program that is that is promoted by Polygon, but yeah, I would say Cardano is very welcoming to Africans, right? They've put on they are on ground in Africa and doing things in Africa. So this level of concern is one of the key things that drew me to the platform, and I think a lot of us will be able to leverage the resources available in terms of the Cardano ecosystem and use that to change their lives, perhaps, or the lives of the people around them.
Thank you so much, Josiah. Utpal, resources. We want to get as good as you are. Where do you refer us to go?
Yeah, so I think on AI and on AI, so I'd say there are a lot of resources available in internet. So I think, but there should be a learning curve, right? Because
Yeah.
internet is ocean, okay, and it is there are huge possibilities that you get lost there. So that's why a learning curve is very, very important, and wherein the instructor plays a major role. Okay, on the blockchain side, already you have got a forum like Abhaya, right? So people can definitely leverage this kind of a forum and the university. So I have gone through your sites also. It is brilliant. So they can go through that and they can learn. And I'm pretty sure that you will be able to build a huge blockchain community, okay, of developers and experts on the domain side, okay, through that. So I don't want to comment on any platform or anything, okay, because there are a lot of platforms. But of course, in your country, this is your platform, Abhaya. So definitely people can go to this platform and learn and do all those things. Thank you so much.
It has been very exciting talking to you, gentlemen. I'll be inviting my executive director to make his final comments. I know he had a point he wanted to make on one of your contributions. As you make that point, Paul, you can say a big thank you to both Utpal and Josiah, who have been so gracious sharing their knowledge with us. Over to you. And again, thank you so much, Utpal. Thank you so much, Josiah. Looking to hook up again sometime soon. Over to you, Paul.
Just in a few seconds, probably a lot of listeners would be asking themselves, what is the connection between, quantum computing, AI, and all that? I just wanted to shed some light that, for example, when it comes to decentralized applications, they use smart contracts to be able to, to automate. And some of the things that enable that is, of course, they are what we call oracles that feed information from off-chain to on-chain. So if you have quantum computing enabling processing of a lot of information in the shortest time possible, then that of course impacts the speed at which these smart contracts in the dApps are able to be executed. So I just wanted to clarify that there's a big connection in all that. So guys, Utpal and Josiah, we are very, very grateful for having taken your time to come and speak to us and grace this occasion. We are very grateful. We look forward to having more such kind of conversations, and I believe that it is such kind of conversation that will even make us more more decentralized, so that we can be able to have one big community promoting blockchain, promoting all these emerging technologies. Thank you so much, guys. In the interest of time, please allow us to adjourn this meeting. Until we meet again, our viewers, we are very grateful. Asanteni sana. See you guys next time.
Thank you very much, Paul and
Yeah,
Rowan. I'm
thank
very
you,
grateful
Josiah.
to be here. Thank you.
Yeah,
It's a
I'll
pleasure.
reach out to you. Thank you very much.
Sure. Thank you.
All right.
Okay, bye-bye.